since we have a quorum, I will call the meeting for the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission for May 18th open. And we do not have any minutes to approve this week, so we will do that at our next meeting. We have a new public hearing for 375 Lincoln Street. I will read that into the record. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law, as amended, and West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing through remote participation the 18th of May, 2021, for requests for determination of applicability to determine if the construction of an above-ground pool at 375 Lincoln Street is subject to the Wetland Protection Act. And we're open. And do we have a presenter, John?
We don't, so we're going to have to skip over that one, and we can go to the next one.
All right, which I would believe is 265 East Center Street.
That's correct.
Request for certificate of compliance.
Scott Rogers is here for J.K. Holmgren Engineering.
All right, Scott, do you have the plan to present?
Yeah, if you want to make me a, if you want to let me share the screen, I can share.
Yep. You're on.
All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. John, do you want to go first? You want me to go do a little presentation here?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm sure you guys are really familiar with this project. It's been around for quite a while now, but just a little bit of history going back. Originally, it was designed back in 2014 to 2016, and it was approved by, I believe, the Conservation Commission as well as Planning Board for a car wash. Back in 2019, we took over the project and we had it reapproved as a contractor yard with bays. Essentially, the building was made smaller. We believe the parking lot was shrunk a tiny bit, not significant, but the development was scaled down a little bit. We also appeared before the Conservation Commission back last fall to address the area behind the building back here where there was some grading issues where basically the pavement wasn't quite getting towards the drainage basin, which is located over here in the west. So we ended up adding in a catch basin with a couple of grass swales and some riprap and a pipe that basically pipes it over to the sediment forebay, which is the original intent of what was supposed to happen out there. So generally, you know, we've done an as-built. This plan reflects the as-built of the site. The septic system is in, the drainage basins are all complete. Obviously, the building is up. The parking lot is paved. So pretty much the entire site is ready to go. So we are, of course, asking for a certificate of compliance for the site. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer those.
John, do you have anything?
I've been out and inspected the site. I would say the only outstanding issue that we need to do is originally when we approved the site plan, it wasn't for the current plan that was being proposed. So we had the drainage agreement drawn up and recorded referring to a previous plan. And so now we have to include a couple more items. And so I'd say I would recommend approving the certificate of compliance and holding it until we get the amended drainage agreement recorded.
Okay, anybody else have any questions, comment?
No.
Okay, hearing none then, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance held until the drainage agreement is updated.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much, John. So I have one question related to the project, but not related to the COC.
Sure.
So as the board may know, we're before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and actually our next hearing is next Monday. I did receive a letter from John Delano with maybe 4 comments or so on it that kind of relate to some of the things we just talked about. John, do you want me to go through those comments? How can I sort of address with the commission what we're looking to do, I guess?
So I don't have the letter in front of me or ready to present. Do you have it?
I can actually call it up here. Hold on one second. CC letter. Okay. Yep, that's it right here. So just going through the comments that were made in this letter, one was, the ZBA or Conservation had asked for the certificate of compliance. We just talked about that and that was approved. So that's pretty easy. Number 2, we have no problem with that 50-foot no touch buffer issue. The stormwater management agreement, John just mentioned that. We're going to update that. So that's pretty much item number 3. And then item number 4 in that letter pretty much talks about things like spill containment, dust collection, and like exhausting of fumes for the auto body shop. So we've been spending a lot of time dealing with, the building department, the fire department, and our client has gone through this process where he's filling out a mass card checklist, which is something that's offered by DEP. So, specifically, there's a lot of things that he's trying to do to comply with all the regulations. And you can imagine with something kind of used like this, there's tons of regulations, both the state and local. So he's working on all that stuff. And specifically, the spray booth, I actually misspoke a little bit, John, on that. But the spray booth does have a pretty extensive filtering system, approximately 2-inch thick filters, and that collects 98%. It's 98% collection efficiency. So it is vented through the roof. I believe the stack on the roof has to go up a minimum of 10 feet. So that's the method of the spray booth, how that's sort of filtered and vented, I guess. And just as a reminder, even though it's not really mentioned here, but the site does have floor drains inside the building. It has an oil water separator outside, and that goes into a holding tank, which is also vented through the roof. So there's protection for inside the building for any kind of a spill or any kind of fluids that get in the system. So that's just a quick synopsis of where we're at and what we're trying to do with the Zoning Board of Appeals and try to address the Conservation Commission questions.
All right, so just to explain, the reason for the letter is the zoning board, when they have a hearing, will request department comments. And so on behalf of the commission, I sent that letter that you see on the screen with Scott's responses to my comments to the zoning board. As most of that indicates, the COC has been requested, as-built has been submitted, and so that particular item can be crossed off. The rest of them, I would say that this maintenance agreement that I'm referring to is going to cover all those issues, like the pumping of the tight tank from the floor drains, maintaining the screens on the vents for the spray booth, things like that. So if the commission is agreeable, I can send a letter to the zoning board that says that the commission is satisfied with the responses.
Yeah, now that we've had the hearing and everything's up to date, I have no sending that letter.
I would recommend a motion then, and that way I can send a clean bill of health.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to authorize John to send a letter to the zoning board stating that the project has met all our requirements.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, guys.
You too, thank you.
Thank
Okay, next we have 75 South Street, a request. Oh, go ahead.
Actually, the 375 Lincoln Street is here.
Okay. Then let's take 375 Lincoln Street.
All right, I'm going to call up the screen. All right, I think I finally got it up there. All right, so the applicant is interested in installing a above ground pool. And originally they were indicating that it would go here. The pool contractor contacted me and said that he was going to try to move it outside the 100-foot buffer. And so this other area that you see in red is where I went out and measured and was able to determine that still part of it is in the 100-foot buffer. The pool contractor thought he was completely outside the buffer, so kind of started some work there. And so I told them that they had to wait until the hearing. And so they have submitted everything and notified all the abutters, and I don't see any other abutters on this evening except for the applicant, Caitlin. And I recommend that you issue a negative determination of applicability, which means that they don't have to do anything other than proceed with their work.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? I mean, it's all previously disturbed. It's all approved area.
No.
All right.
Now, I've unmuted Caitlin so she can speak if she would like.
No, I mean, I've had plenty of questions along the way. I think they've been answered pretty thoroughly, and I appreciate your time. But John, I think you said what our hope is.
Well, you moved it as far out, it looks like, as you can. So we can't ask much more than that at this point. So I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative determination.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
All right, so Caitlin, I will have the paperwork done by Thursday. And if you call me tomorrow, I can give you a little bit more information. I do have to wait until the commissioners sign the form itself, which would be at the earliest Thursday. And
Okay.
that's why it takes a little while, because we don't do it electronically.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right.
I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Now, 75 South Street.
South Street, okay. And we have a request for certificate of compliance.
Mark, do you want me to present it?
Yes, please. I tried to get the plan up and I'm not sure I effectively did that because I'm not very computer savvy.
All right, hold on. So this is the number 75 South Street, lot number 2. It's the second lot going from south to north. The first lot, we're now blue. The first lot was the one that we discussed some plantings the last meeting
Yep.
along the edge of the driveway. So on lot number 2, they did build within 100 feet of the wetlands, but the only part of the 50-foot no touch was in this area here. And so that has a conservation easement on it, and they have signs indicating that it is conservation restricted area, do not disturb. The as-built plan and everything else is satisfactory. And I would recommend the commission issuing a certificate of compliance and hold the certificate of compliance until we get the affidavit from the buyer that they understand what the conservation easement means and what they can do on the property and what they can't do.
Okay, my only other question, John, is I know the grading's all done and it's probably been seeded. But we have any concern with erosion or anything on that site?
Yes, oh, I forgot to mention that we need a surety bond for the growing of the grass.
Okay,
Thanks for reminding me. I'd recommend 1,500.
okay. Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah,
Mark,
Right.
what is your reaction to that?
I understand. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
all right.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance to be held until the surety of 1,500 and the notification of compliance with the purchasers knowing about the wetland line.
no, make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All set, Mark.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. So we can skip over 241 Forest Street because the developer hasn't signed the conservation easement yet.
Okay,
But what I plan to do is call up those documents for the commission to take a look at tonight, and then have the commission vote to allow Tim to sign it once the developer has signed his portion of the conservation easement. But rather than taking the time to do that, we do have Ron Snell, who has signed his agreement. And I would like to jump over that and then to the Scotland Street 40B conservation restriction item as well. So
okay,
I'm going to call up the agreement that Ron has signed. So this is the agreement that is the result of the discussions the Conservation Commission had with Mr. Snell. And so it has now been executed by Mr. Snell. And it's the one that we discussed at the last meeting where the commission has agreed to this line here as the limit of work. And in consideration of that, Mr. Snell will be conveying this portion here, south of the site, to the commission for recreational purposes. And the agreement indicates, let me get back to the agreement. As you can see, it's been executed by Mr. Snell and notarized. So the owner will convey the property. The town will allow Mr. Snell the use of that area to that line, propose the limit of work line. The owner shall provide clear title with no defects to the property. And upon determination of that, Mr. Snell will convey the property. He will reserve a 20-foot access easement across the northern part of that, which has been shown on the plan that we had all been discussing anyway. And the only other thing to add is that it will be named, that portion that's going to be conveyed to the town will be called Ronald P. Snell Landing. So if the commission is in agreement with that, we need a motion to have the commission allow Tim to sign on behalf of the town, which would be here.
All right, any questions, comments?
No.
All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to authorize me to sign on behalf of the commission.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Ron, thank you very much.
And thank you, gentlemen, for your cooperation through the whole thing, especially John. He put a lot of time into it, and I appreciate the whole thing. And I would like to be able to do a little cleanup up there. Seeing I have permission from the conservation 25 years ago, or whatever it was, but I cut the dead wood out of there and clean it up a little bit, and then you can plan what we're going to do with it. So, and
Very good.
try to work with the town when you're ready to do something. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
All right, we have Scotland Street 40B.
All right. I have just taken the moment to call up the plan and some of the documents. I presumed that Attorney Watsky wanted us to present it for you, or did you want to do it?
If you have something that you've planned out, that's totally fine for you to handle it. I'm mostly just here if there are any questions.
Okay. All right, so I'll share the screen. So this conservation restriction is, let me get a little bit more centered here. So this area in here is the 40B development. And it runs on both sides of Old Maple Street. And it's the area that's not being developed. So you can see that the proposed septic area was up in here. The lots on the south side of Maple Street are in this area, and they're calling that phase 2, which they're soon to start. And this is the area north of Maple Street, which is the phase 1 that they're currently, they've got the fill in there, and they've got the road pretty much ready for paving, actually. So in order to further protect this, and as part of the natural heritage endangered species agreements and permits with the MESA program, and correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Watsky, but I believe that they needed to be able to show that somebody other than the homeowners association would protect this. So the developer had a choice of the Town Conservation Commission or some conservation organization such as Wildland Trust, trustees of reservation. I don't know all the names of the different groups, but quite often different conservation groups will acquire land and protect it. And so the developer felt that since we owned the back piece in here already, that we would be the good stewards of this land to make sure nothing happened by the homeowners or anybody else in that area, in this area that you see crosshatched. So they had to work up documents, and they have to record them, and it has to go through the state. And as part of it, the town has to agree, Conservation Commission has to agree to be the trustees, and the Board of Selectmen will also have to sign the document. So we have discussed this in the past, and now it's finally coming to the point where we need the signatures. So my recommendation is to go ahead and have the commission sign this document, and then recommend to the selectmen after you sign it that they sign it. And they probably would if you had already signed it, but it's probably appropriate to recommend to them that you want them to sign it too. So that's my report on this. I could show you the document itself. It's quite lengthy, but if you would like.
No, I'm sure that there's been plenty of eyes all over it, so.
Okay.
Does
Yeah,
anybody,
I can assure you, having worked on the drafting of this, that NHESP has gone over it, the state has gone over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Actually, I think I have that letter, Attorney Watsky, that I could call up for the commission's behalf, but it doesn't sound like they need it. But it does indicate that the state has reviewed it and has given everybody instructions on what to do from this point on, so that they can forward it to, I think, the secretary, I believe.
Yeah, so the process is, I had to, after getting approval from John Joya at Secretary of Environmental Affairs, I had the grantor, so Cochesset Estates, the developer, sign their section, and then it goes before the town, before you and the select board, and then I send it back to NHESP, and they'll forward it on to Secretary of State.
So we do have that copy of the page where the developer signed as grantor of this conservation restriction. So I'm recommending that you do sign it and forward a recommendation that the selectmen sign it.
basically, you just need a motion to endorse and recommend the selectmen sign.
Yes.
Okay. I'll need a motion to endorse the document and forward it to selectmen for their signatures and approval as well.
I'll make the motion.
I will second it.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Watsky.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
So it looks like we have 241 4th Street. So I'll call that document up real quick. All right, so this is the, this is what they call lot number 3. It is 241 4th Street. It's adjacent to the existing house that was part of all of this land. And as you can see, we have the conservation exhibit plan that restricts this use of this land in here and has conservation posts along the 50-foot buffer that indicates that it's a restricted wetland and protected wetland, do not disturb. The signs are in. I've sent the document to the developer for his signature, and he didn't get it back to me today. I can try to follow up on it tomorrow. But once he signs it, I'm recommending that the commission vote to have Tim sign on behalf of the commission so that the conservation easement can be recorded at the registry.
All right, any questions?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to entertain a motion to authorize me to sign the conservation easement restriction endorsement once we receive it.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
All right, so I believe we have some invoices. Have we pretty well followed this agenda? We bounced around a little bit, so let me bring up the invoices. Okay, so this is the invoice for the 2 public hearings that we had last meeting. And one was for the wetland rules. And the second one was for the, we're going blue again. So one was for the wetlands and one was for the stormwater, and they were $152 for each of them. So we have a total invoice of a lot of these others are other hearings. So the only ones that apply are the ones that I highlighted in with a orange line. So it's going to be 152 times 2. And I recommend that it be paid, and if the commission votes to have Tim sign it, I guess you've already voted that, so Tim can sign it as long as the commission approves the invoice.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the invoice.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. What else do we have, John?
So two final things. 2 different weekends last weekend and the weekend before, two individuals who aren't residents of this town, but who are people that love some of our walking trails that we have in town, went out and on their own cleaned up without anybody asking. They just did it and cleaned up the trails and bagged up the trash and disposed of it at the transfer stations where they live. And one of them was Ms. Berta Grossman, and the other is Mr. Jared Blount. Neither one of them live in West Bridgewater, but love the open spaces that we have with trails that are traversing some of the open spaces that we have. So they sent me a picture of it, and I was able to contact them and thank them on behalf of the commission
Definitely.
and the open space. But I would like to do something in the future, like maybe present them a certificate of appreciation from the commission, and possibly even refer it to the Board of Selectmen so that they could acknowledge it as well on behalf of the residents of the town. So I just wanted to see how you reacted to that. Berta is a student at Mass Maritime, and I believe either today or tomorrow they're leaving on one of their training ship missions that they have, and so they'll be at sea for quite a few weeks, maybe a month or so. I don't know exactly how long, but she had mentioned she's going to be at sea for quite a while and out of communication. So it probably won't be until later on this summer that we can possibly have both of them at a meeting, possibly if we so choose to have a meeting face to face instead of Zoom. But even if we did it on Zoom, we could have them join in. But I just was amazed that two people like that would decide to do this. And how they met up was Jared, who has an interest in the Hockomock Swamp area and that kind of thing, put on Facebook that he was going to be out there to do some cleaning up of some of the trails, and Berta responded. So it was all done through Facebook. They didn't know each other when they did this, so they didn't do it together as a plan. It just developed. And I was really amazed. So if the commission wants me to pursue this to the point where we can present them a certificate, I'll work on that and give you more details down the road.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I can't believe that somebody from out of town came into our town to help clean up our trails. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I was amazed at the one that they did this last weekend. They had found on the Hasiotis Trail, somebody had dumped a pool liner.
Wow.
They cut the pool liner up into pieces, put it into 5 trash bags. They had given me a call over the weekend, and I didn't get it until today because I had yesterday off. And so I got the call today and responded to it and asked them how they got rid of the trash bags, because I was going to offer to try to have our transfer station take it. And they had taken it to Bridgewater. Neither one of them are residents of Bridgewater. And they convinced the people at the transfer station there that they were doing a good deed and that would they take the trash, and they took it for nothing. So it didn't cost these two individuals any money, which was also nice of Bridgewater. So it was just a great story all around.
Very good. Great job. That's nice to know there are good people out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll pursue doing up something with the commission and them down the road when Berta gets back from the training mission. And then the final thing is our next meeting will be June 15th. By then, I believe the governor will have lifted the state of emergency and probably lifted a lot of the, if not all of the requirements. So we could decide to have a face-to-face meeting at the town hall and have people social distance and take precautions. And we can have a hybrid type thing where if a member wants to be at home on Zoom, we will hold a Zoom meeting right in the conference room so that if anyone wants to come in as a member or the public, they can come in or they can still participate via Zoom. But I believe that's where we're going to be by June 15th.
I'm okay with that. And like you said, if anybody, any commissioners or anybody in the audience wants to Zoom in, if we can do a hybrid model, then I think that works.
Yeah.
I'll start pursuing that to make sure that we can comply with everything, check with the Board of Health and make sure, again, that we can do it this way. And we can advertise it in that same fashion that you can either sit at home and participate via Zoom or come in face to face with us. And there may be a time where I might not be here and have to do the Zoom hosting and you guys are at the meeting. I mean, however it's going to go, I think we can be pretty flexible.
Right. And again, we have an idea of what the governor's going to let us do, but until it actually happens, who knows what his restrictions may be or how long. I mean, I know they want to open everything up, but I also know we're pretty smart in this state and we've done it the right way. So I just got to keep it flexible, and if we can do a hybrid model and social distance with enough of us there and enough of us not there and figure it out, then I'm all for it.
Good. I'll keep you all posted on that one as well.
All right.
Other than that, I have nothing.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
No,
No,
I'm glad you mentioned, I had it in my notes for some reason, but so there is no meeting June 1st.
That's correct. No meeting June 1st.
All right. So I knew I wrote it down.
So we all get an extra night off.
wow.
All right. Hearing nothing more, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
We'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.